Today we're going to talk about Chapter 5, Engaging Learners with Computers. The chapter addresses different strategies for integrating computer resources into curriculum and provides examples of that. Describes 5 types of software that might be used in the classroom, advantages and limitations of using computer resources, and discusses the differences among one computer classroom versus multiple computer classrooms or laboratories, and the setups and uses for each of those scenarios. And finally, the chapter describes appropriate instructional situations for using computer resources to support student learning. So this would include settings, topic, audience, objectives, content of the material, and rationale for using this particular media form. Looking over to page 100 of Chapter 5, the chapter addresses some important copyright concerns that we have already discussed. You may want to review those. And then also goes right into talking about the advantages of using computers in the classroom, some of which really allows you to engage the learner and allows the learner to participate in their lesson. It provides for opportunities for individualization. Computer resources allow students to manage the rate and the sequence of their learning. It gives them more control over the outcome and high-speed personalized responses to the learner, so they're able to receive immediate feedback and reinforcement. It also addresses some special needs. Computer resources are effective for special learners and gifted learners, learners with different types of physical and demographic backgrounds, and their needs can be addressed, ensuring that instruction is appropriate and at their pace. And then finally, another advantage of using computers in the classroom is that the record-keeping ability of the computer makes it more efficient for teachers, and it allows the learning to be more individualized. If you look at the chart on the bottom of page 101, you'll notice a discussion about technology for diverse learners, and that is a good resource for some of you who are choosing to include different types of learners in your lesson plans. That is on the bottom of page 101. Okay, and then moving on over to page 102, the chapter does address some limitations that are included with using computer resources. Obviously, we've talked about copyright a number of times, but you have to be careful about the types of software and digital information that you provide, not to be duplicated without permission, and making sure that it's high-quality instructional software. Another limitation is the high expectation that learners and teachers have. Sometimes those are unrealistic for computers. Many view computers as magical, and they expect the learning to happen with little effort. But in reality, as with any learning experience, the benefits are derived based on how much you put into it. So another limitation is that sometimes it can lead to difficult situations. It can be complex. There's more advanced programs that may be difficult for students to use, especially when they're producing a product or a project. And sometimes it requires specific skills and abilities that the students may not be prepared for. And then also, there is a lack of structure. Students whose learning style requires that more structured guidance can often be frustrated when using computer resources. Sometimes they make poor decisions about how to explore information on the computer. The chapter goes on to discuss on the bottom of page 103, when is it appropriate to use computers in the classroom? And I really like this chart because it gives you a visual of some guidelines for different types of practice and some examples of that. So when students are practicing what they have studied in class, an example of this might be students who need extra help with a specific skill or a task, and a drill and practice game or a drill and practice skill to reinforce that understanding can really be helpful. And if you continue with the chart, some of the other examples listed are when students need to learn independently, maybe when a student is creating, when an instructor is creating a learning opportunity for a gifted student that needs a little extra, working collaboratively with other students in group work, reaching students who have difficulty in learning, and then also challenging students to present information in a creative or a different way. The chapter also discusses on page 108 the differences between computer-assisted instruction and computer-managed instruction. Computer-assisted instruction being that type of resource that helps students learn with specific knowledge or skills, like drill and practice or tutorial, and then computer-managed instruction being more geared towards the instructional side, where the teacher would use a resource to manage the classroom grades, or at the end of the day to prepare instructional materials or handouts like presentations. So an example of a computer managed instruction would be an electronic gradebook. The chapter also goes on to talk about different types of computer access and different scenarios and setups for the classroom. For instance, the one computer classroom and what that looks like and how that could be used. A multiple computer classroom and how that might be used. And then also other options like laptop carts or complete laboratories. If you look at page 114 and page 115, you can see some diagrams of how a computer classroom might be laid out, whether that includes a handful of computers or a complete laboratory of computers, and the differences in how instruction takes place in those type of atmospheres. That concludes our discussion for Chapter 5.